One of the most misunderstood experiences as a student is being alone. Sometimes you sit alone in class, sometimes your roommates are not around, so you have to be alone, you have to have an alone time. Or you notice that it seems like people work in group, but you're the only person who is like always alone, always doing your own thing and all of that. And this is the moment that you get to be alone, you get to think, you get to reflect. And at this is where growth happens. This is the stage where growth happens because it gives you the time to reflect on yourself, to analyze yourself. Okay, so today we are looking at how to spend your alone time wisely so it affects yourself in a positive way. How to spend your alone time wisely so it affects you in a positive way. And of course, you're welcome to another exciting edition of the Passion Achievers, where passion meets purpose, knowledge inspires action, and every conversation you have with me moves you a step closer to success. Of course, I am Clara Yayura Aboagye, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe as well. So, students' life can sometimes feel isolated and be full of solitude. You may not always have your friends around, you may not always have your classmates around. And the first thing you should know is that at this stage, okay, you must make your alone time meaningful. It shouldn't just be an alone time that you waste away. No, they may seem like the same thing, but they are not. And alone time and being disconnected from people may seem like the same thing, but they are not. So by the end of this, you will also find out the difference between being alone and using it blissfully and being disconnected from people. We get to know the difference between the two. Loneliness feels like you are empty. It feels like you are unwanted. It makes you feel like something is missing. Don't worry, it's part of life, okay? But solitude being used intentionally or naturally can become powerful for self growth. When you use your loneliness intentionally, when you make good use of it, it makes you powerful. Why not? I'm saying this because when all your roommates are not there and you are away from social media, you put your phone somewhere, you are able to sit down, you're able to think about yourself, you're able to assess your life throughout the academic journey, you're able to think about where you've gotten to. How far have you gotten to? Are you able to follow your dreams? Are you able to follow your goals that you've set, your plans you've set for the semester? It helps you to do that analysis. So you don't wait for the semester to be over before you begin to analyze things. No, that alone time helps you to think. It helps in your growth process. It helps you to know that, okay, I'm making progress, I'm slacking at this point. That only happens when you have your alone time away from the noise. One thing you must understand is that being alone does not mean you are lacking value. That doesn't mean that people don't like you. That doesn't mean that you being alone means you're wasting time. No, it doesn't mean you are lacking value. It simply means that you may be in a season where you need to identify yourself, where you need to develop yourself, where you need to rethink about your life by reflecting on how far you have come. Okay. What many people do not know is that some of the dearest moments in life happens when people are alone, when people are quiet, away from the noise. That's when people are able to write novels, poems, books, and all of that because they have that time to be alone. They have that time to reflect. So they are able to know that I have more in me. I can do more just because they're able to think and assess their life that if this person can do this, I can also do it. That only happens when you're able to sit down and plan, sit down and assess yourself, sit down and think. It's very important. Sometimes when you are alone, you begin to think more clearly, you begin to understand your goals better. You begin to reflect on your decision for choosing that program, your decision for choosing that school, your decision to make yourself proud, your decision to make history in the world. You begin to reflect, thereby directing your path to where you want to be. But if you're able to have your alone time to think and assess yourself, you just be moving in this life just like that, without any direction, without any assessment of your life, until everything becomes bad before you even realize it. Then it becomes too late. Okay, you begin to discover your who you truly are, begin to discover your true self without any pressure from friends, from trends, from social media, and no distraction, because you are alone. You are able to reason well. This is something that many people do not experience because they constantly are surrounded by noise, always surrounded by people. So you're not able to think, you're not able to assess yourself, you're not able to reason. When you have that alone time away from the noise, you're able to what? Have that privilege to think about your life. Another important thing is learning to enjoy your own company. Know that you might not always have people around. It's there. It's not always that your roommates will be there, your family will be there for you, and all of that. So learning to spend your alone time wisely, emphasis on wisely, helps you to grow. People spend their alone time just sleeping away their lives, just being on social media. But when you're able to spend your alone time with your life, get a book, get a pen, assess your life, listen to a podcast that will inspire your life. It helps you to grow. You don't just spend the time away and you have nothing to prove. No, it must yield results. Okay, your alone time must be spent wisely so that it can yield results. Okay, read something meaningful, plan your goals, learn a new skill. Simply give yourself and your mind time to rest. Not always beautiful, but be able to make some decisions on your own. Being alone, okay, does not mean you are being unproductive. No, it's because you have made it so. I know that from today, you're going to make your alone time worth it, because you're going to make meaningful things out of it. In fact, some of your biggest things happen when you're alone. Biggest moments, biggest dream, they happen, they occur, they come in mind, those plans, they come in mind when you are alone and you are quiet. Okay, there is a difference between being comfortable alone and being disconnected. I'm not saying you should be disconnected from people. No, loneliness will kill you. Mental health, your mental health is important to us. I'm not saying disconnected from people. But what I'm saying is have your alone time where you can sit down and do an assessment of your life. Okay, you should also avoid forcing friendships simply because you don't want to be alone. People, they don't want to be alone. So no matter what they do to make people their friends, they will. Please don't just get up and just build any kind of friendship just because you don't want to be alone. No, build meaningful friendships. Friends for each purpose. Friends for church, friends for studies, friends for partying, so that you know that Amma loves partying. I love to party, but Amma doesn't like learning. So Kofi will help me to learn. You should know the clear balance between all, so that you don't lack in one side. Okay, you don't like at one point while making one part work. Okay, they all must work together for your full development. Okay, not every connection is meant to fill a void. No, some are there to just help you grow. Some are there just for being there. Some don't even add up. If the person is not adding up, let the person leave. Okay, some shouldn't enter unhealthy friendships or relationships just because they don't want to be alone, which shouldn't be your case. Okay, and finally, understand that confidence often grows in moments of solitude. When you're alone, sober, and you're thinking about your life, that's when the strength comes. I am more than this. I can do ABC. I can develop this. I can. That is when ideas begin to flow. That's when ideas begin to flow. So please create an alone time for yourself. Create an alone time for yourself, and let it be worth it. Let it be worth it. That is my emphasis. You become emotionally stronger, more focused, and more self-aware when you have your alone time and you use it wisely. Very important. Emphasis on wisely. All too soon it comes the end of this edition of the Passion Achievers. If this video inspires you, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe as well. Until I meet you next time, keep achieving your dreams.